Welcome to the ISB show. I'm your host, Sahil. We've been covering a lot of the World Cup qualifiers, but I did want to take a moment and cover the Asian Cup 2027 qualifiers. That tournament is coming up in 2027. As I mentioned before, it is the biggest tournament in Asia. The previous winners being Qatar. We will see who can get there. Now, the teams, again, that are in this are not the ones playing in the World Cup qualifying because those teams have already made it through to this tournament. So this is for the final 6 slots in the tournament. There were some couple great matches during the day. One match which was not that great, which I will cover in a little bit and talk about that. But let's get into it. I wanted to start off with the Thailand Sri Lanka match. And this was a lot tighter than I thought it would be. We, of course, have been covering Thailand in the ASEAN. They wanted me to say it properly. So I said ASEAN Cup or championship that happened at the end of last year into the beginning of this year. Thailand, of course, finishing runners up. A lot of the same players were there, and Patrik Gustavsson getting the goal. I thought the goal was a little bit of a goalie error. I've heard mixed reviews on that, but I know that it was good by Sufanat Mianta. His nickname is Bank, I believe it is, so I'll call him Bank. But he headed the ball backward toward an open Patrik Gustavsson on what I thought was a little bit of a Sri Lankan goalie error. And then there was a couple moments, I think, for both teams. Sri Lanka had their moments, but overall, Thailand won at 1-0, and I thought that was a fair result in terms of that particular match. Vietnam was very dominant. I think this Vietnam team is so good, and this was without Nguyen Xuan Son, who we've been talking about. He's been injured, so when he comes back, this is going to be an extremely difficult team to beat in terms of Vietnam. I actually thought Laos was going to give him some trouble, but there was just no trouble to be had in terms of that particular match. Now, the thing about these two teams that I think we've seen is even on days when maybe Thailand, things weren't going their way, they found a way to get a goal in terms of that and provide a victory. And on days when things were going their way in terms of Vietnam, there was a dominant performance. All right, I want to spend some time. The other match I want to talk about just very briefly is I want to give credit to Myanmar because beating Afghanistan is not an easy team. And to go out there, we've kind of seen the rise of the Myanmar football team. And we saw how well they played in some of those matches in the ASEAN Cup or ASEAN Championship. And I think they have just started to ascend from that point in time. So credit to Myanmar. And I think that is, like I said, a team that is on the rise. I now want to talk about and spend some time talking about a team that is not on the rise. And that is the Indian national football team. We've done a lot of videos in the past. I've had Bick on, I've had Rahi on. We've talked about the players of the team. We kind of went through their World Cup qualification campaign match by match. And like I said, our parents are from India, so we have a lot of affinity toward this team. And one of our teams, in terms of the U.S. men's national team, had a horrendous showing. And the other team happened to also have a very dismal showing, this being India, in this draw with Bangladesh. So let me talk about a few things. There was a lot of hype before this match for Bangladesh. Hamza Choudhury, who plays in Sheffield United in the championship. So everyone was saying, oh, this is a top-level player that's going to come in and totally revamp the Bangladesh team. Look, one player, a defensive midfielder in this case, but no matter how good one individual player is, you can help a team, but football is a game of 11 players. So that's not an excuse. That's not number one. That's not an excuse for the coming out of this match. If they had not gotten the result because, let's say, they had lost and they said, oh, Hamza Choudhury took over the match. Look, one player can only do so much on a football field. There's 11 players out there, and I think that's fine. He's going to improve the Bangladesh team. Don't get me wrong. He's gonna 100% improve them, and players do have a little bit of an influence, I'd say, to make the team better. But to completely transform a team, one player is not enough. You need something more like what Indonesia has done, basically, where you've taken numerous amounts of players and infused them into the team. But that's from a Bangladesh perspective. But let's talk about the match a little bit. The start of the match, I don't know if I've seen a worse start to a match by a team that hasn't conceded a goal than India. And I don't know what was going on with Vishal Kait. I know he's played great in the Indian Super League as of recent, but passing the ball directly to the other players, passing the ball not once but twice directly to the Bangladeshi players, and I don't know how Bangladesh didn't score, but that first whatever it was, 10 minutes of the match was an absolute disaster for India. And in a match that you're coming out at home in front of your home crowd, a match that you have to win to start to get the process going for the qualification for the campaign, a match that comes right after an extremely disappointing last few matches in the World Cup qualification campaign. To start this way was an utter dismal showing. Unbelievable. And throughout the match, yes, in the second half, India got better. I'll give them credit that India got better. But again, still a very tepid performance, in my opinion. And so much so that after the match, you saw the words from Manolo Marquez. He said, I don't know what's going on here. And is this the state of Indian football? Because I started off in the World Cup qualification campaign feeling a lot of pride. And I thought after watching the game against Kuwait, man, maybe this team actually does have an opportunity to get to the fourth round of the Asian qualification for the World Cup. And with so many good things going in that direction at the time, of course, Stimac was the coach. We thought, okay, there might be this infusement of players, just like the Hamza Choudhury situation, or how Indonesia's brought in a bunch of the Dutch contingent. Maybe we'll get some Indian players, playing in the English lower divisions or something like that. We named some names before, Jan Dunda. We've named some other names, but this showing, especially getting players back, Sandesh Jingan back, some of the other players back, to have a game like this where it was so bad, so poor. I don't know what more to say about this. And now you've started off in a situation where, in a sense, they're lucky that Singapore and Hong Kong tied, because now everything's still even. But all I wanted to say is this is not good enough for Indian football. This is not good enough. It's not a good enough effort from the players. It's not a good enough effort from the federation. It's probably not a good enough effort from the manager. And this is the issue that we're dealing with here in terms of the Indian team. So anyway, don't have a lot more to say on the match. It was a 0-0 draw. Maybe Bangladesh will be a little bit more happy about the match, because they probably expected that they might end up losing this match away in India, but they'll be happy because it's a draw. And I think India has a lot of soul searching to do in terms of where this team is going from where they were in the World Cup qualification campaign to where they are now. It is night and day. I talk about the start of the World Cup qualifying campaign after winning that match in Kuwait. Sunil Chhetri is back. So as the captain of this team, he needs to actually take these guys aside and say, guys, we need to completely revamp this and get back to those ways, because otherwise they're not even going to make the Asian Cup. So for those of you out there enjoying these videos, please subscribe to the channel. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Do you agree with the assessment of the matches that happened in the Asian Cup qualification campaign? The qualifiers are just the beginning, so there's a lot to go, and I'm sure you guys will have your say later. As always, keep watching the beautiful game.